Invisiblekatana here doing my review for Pokemon Detective Pikachu. I didn't realize that Detective Pikachu was the subtitle. I legitimately thought the whole movie was just Detective Pikachu, but it's like even when you see the movie, it's like Pokemon subtitle Detective Pikachu. Obviously got my Snorlax hat on. It's like the only excuse I have to actually wear this thing in any random review. So obviously, as the title suggests, there will be spoilers, but that'll be in the second half of the video, and I will let you guys know when I'm getting to the spoiler section. But to kick things off, good movie. I enjoyed it. I think this is a movie that you will obviously enjoy. If you're a Pokemon fan, odds are you went to see it. Like, that's why I went to see it. It wasn't just to do this review. It was like, I like Pokemon. Obviously, I didn't just buy this hat. I've had this for years. I like Pokemon. I don't play the games or watch the anime anymore, but I still like it. I was like, I grew up with it. Who's that Pokemon? Obviously, the original, Pokemon theme song. Everybody loves that. That's just a classic. So I was like, of course I want to see this. It didn't look horrible. It never, it wasn't like the Sonic thing where I'm just like, that just looks bad visually for my eyes. It looks good, which admittedly, the Sonic trailer played before I watched this movie, and I'd already seen it, but it was like, it really does make you appreciate it. Like, that's been the big debate. It wouldn't even be a thing. Like, I already thought it looked good just from the trailers, but ever since that Sonic trailer came out, it's just like, it just makes you appreciate the visuals for this movie a whole lot more, because it's just good compared to that Sonic stuff. But all in all, I thought it was a good movie. I thought it was funny. It does have some decent action. And the drama, it's not too bad. It's like, they have their emotional beats. Some are the more predictable stuff, as you would see in like any buddy cop or team up film. There's always like that classic one moment that where it's just like, that's annoying, because literally everybody does it. But for the most part, I was like, okay, this is cool. I like the way that things are being handled. Of course, they have the story of the main character, Tim, and him trying to figure out this mystery of basically whether or not his father's actually dead, which is not a spoiler because it's in the trailer. It's the conspiracy theory that Pikachu comes up with, like, I don't think your dad's really dead, and they have to figure it out. Pikachu has amnesia, so they don't really know, but Pikachu was the former Pokemon partner of Tim's dad, so they end up teaming up on this mystery. Tim's the guy who never had a Pokemon, stuff like that, so it's like, we don't really bond, but then of course they end up bonding. It's that sort of movie. It's the buddy cop deal, detective style. Pokemon noir, like that's what it is. They even do some actual visual noir stuff. Like there's a scene where basically the other main lead of the film, I wish I could remember the actress's name, like in any way, because I can't remember her name from the movie or the actual actress. But when she's first introduced, it's very noir. I was like, it's very, like the bright light, and you see like really sharp shadows and stuff. And I was like, okay, they're definitely pulling off some full on noir movie stuff. Like they have some references in there to legit noir stuff. So I thought that was kind of cool. The Pokemon, like I said, they do look great. Some get some focus, some don't get some focus. You'll see, tons of Pokemon. Like overall, there are a buttload of Pokemon in it, but only a few really get a focus. Obviously, Pikachu, some of the other bigger ones. I won't reference some stuff, even though it was in the trailers. I won't reference some of the biggest stuff until I get to the spoiler segment. But thought it was cool. Thought it was really fun. I actually did get to see Snorlax, so I was happy. This guy made an appearance, so that was great. Ditto even makes an appearance, which I also have a Ditto plush. Both of these are from Japan, by the way, so you can check that out in my other Japan video. But both of these characters made an appearance, which I thought was pretty nice. Snorlax is actually the only Pokemon in the whole movie where I was like, that design was a little weird to me. And I think it was because it was the first time I had to physically connect Snorlax to like anything real. So for Pikachu, it's like, yeah, I could see Pikachu with fur, because Pikachu's technically, like, the whole point of Pikachu is literally, like, it's an electric rat. Like, that's what they call it. I was like, that makes sense. You have bird Pokemon. I was like, yeah, they have feathers. Of course, they will look this way. This is a dog Pokemon, so of course it looks that way. This is a monkey. Of course, it'll look like that. Everything that you think of is like, yeah, fur, hair, feathers. It makes sense. Scales, for Charizard, stuff like that. Snorlax, I never connected to anything ever. I would assume it's a bear. That would have to be the biggest connection, because it's just huge. It's got spiky feet. It's got little spikes. I mean, that's it. Like, it has to be a bear. The only thing I ever connect Snorlax to is the human ability to sleep a lot. So, yeah, that was the only one that was weird to me, because I was like, I never connected Snorlax to any actual creature. So that was the only one that I actually thought looked weird to see it, because it actually has fur like a lot of other Pokemon. So that was the only one that I thought was weird with Snorlax. But everything else, I was like, that makes perfect sense. I feel like that's exactly how that would look. But that's because everything else is so easy to connect. I just never looked at Snorlax and thought, it is a bear. Like, that is what Snorlax is. So that one caught me off guard. It actually made me like realize all this time like what Snorlax was supposed to be, as far as like the real world. So I was like, it made me think. But I thought the designs were really good. The action was good. The comedy was good. I thought the story as a whole was good. They have a decent twist. There's one twist in the movie that I think is great. And then the other stuff is kind of predictable. I think also this is the thing. I kind of fell asleep in the movie, not because it was bad, but because I'm still super tired and my time is thrown off from coming from Japan. So I've officially been back for 7 days. This would be day 7. And I thought everything was good, but I'm still a little bit thrown off. Like I caught up on sleep yesterday, but I also stayed up super late because I was still a little thrown off. Like after getting so much sleep, I couldn't go to sleep early again. So, I was still thrown off. So by the time I got to the movie, right during, oddly enough, the action scene, which is the scene in the trailer where they're like running and the mountains are moving and stuff, fell asleep. I pretty much fell asleep through all of that. Like I saw bits and pieces. I was like, okay, this thing happened, that thing happened. I definitely caught that. And then it was just like I was out. So I oddly enough missed like the giant action piece. So it definitely wasn't the fact that the movie was boring. That's just how tired I was. I fell asleep during the actual action piece. So the movie is not boring. I just want to preface that because there's probably like some minute elements that I missed in there. But for the most part, I thought it was good. I feel like there isn't too much I can say outside of that without getting into the spoilers. Like I would say it's a good movie. I am going to end up seeing it again. I have to see it with a friend anyway, but and of course I fell asleep, but the rest of the movie I thought was good enough to be like, okay, just for that one action sequence, yeah, I can pay the money to go back and see the whole movie again because I didn't hate it. And plus it's an hour and 45 minutes if I'm not mistaken, so it's not even 2 hours. And honestly, I don't know, I feel like every Marvel movie is over 2 hours, and Endgame was 3 hours, so I don't even remember the last time I went to a movie theater and saw a movie that wasn't at least 2 hours long. So for me, it was like, wow, I'm out of here. Like that was super fast as far as I was concerned, movie wise. It's been a minute since I've seen anything that wasn't like 2.5 hours long. So it was almost like, it was basically like a TV movie as far as I was concerned. I was like, well, and I'm out. So, I couldn't have been asleep for that long because the movie ended and I saw like everything else around, like just the action sequence. And I was like, unless that was an insanely long action piece, I saw the whole movie and it was, it's quick. It's an hour and 45 minutes, compared to most movies you see now, which are always over 2 hours. So it was interesting, kind of in and out, but definitely recommend it if you're a Pokemon fan. Even if you're not, I think it's a decent film where it's just like, okay, you can have fun with this as a kid or as an adult. Like it's entertaining enough to where you won't just be like, oh crap, it's just a annoying kids movie. So I think it's good for everybody. That would be the end of the non-spoiler segment. So if you have not seen the movie, go check it out, then come back here and let me know your thoughts. But I'm getting into full-on spoiler mode. So that is your official warning. Spoilers are starting right now. And the first thing to start off with, of course, is the story. And that is the crazy Ditto twist, which I loved. I thought that was great. And I also think that is going to lead to another reference for an anime. I think there are going to be a lot of memes coming from that very specific scene. Because I was like, this is going to be memed as My Hero Academia. So for anyone who doesn't know that, just look up My Hero Academia 3 million and you should see the guy's face. And you'll know exactly what I mean. If you see Ditto, you see that guy's face and be like, there's going to be some memes about that. There have to be, because that was the first thing I thought. I was like, people are going to meme this, and I can't wait for that to happen. So that was a great little twist. I like the fact that it, like Ditto was actually the son, and I thought it was a cool twist in general because it was like, okay, you could kind of tell. It's like, all right, yeah, the guy in the wheelchair actually ends up being evil, but I thought it was a good twist based on the fact that it was like, oh, they were, like the thing that made it entertaining was that they were kind of playing it up in public, like they hated each other, and I was like, oh, that's a cool, that makes it an entertaining twist, even though you could probably expect it. I still thought that made it a bit more entertaining because I was like, oh, they kind of hate each other in public and stuff like that, and they're just kind of playing it up for the crowd, but they're actually both evil. They just lost Mewtwo, so they're kind of acting like they're on different sides of the fence. And I was like, okay, that's a cool way to do it. That makes what's more generic at least slightly different, and I was like, that's cool. And then it was an actual twist when it turns out that the son wasn't evil, it was Ditto in disguise, and it was like, well, that actually makes it a full-on twist. So I thought that was nice. And also the actual plan for the main villain, I was like, that's interesting. That in itself I felt was like a bit of a twist because I was like, I didn't think that would be what they were looking to do. So that was pretty interesting and also really crazy because it was like, I get what he's doing. Like, that makes perfect sense. He was, in a wheelchair and he wants to take over and he wants to, be at full power again. So they have Mewtwo, who is, the genetically enhanced version of Mew. So it's the perfect Pokemon. It's the perfect body to enhance. It can, fly and shoot, psychic balls, and it, has telekinesis, or telepathy. It has both, I guess. And so I was like, of course, who wouldn't, if you're about to die and stuff like that, of course, transfer your mind into the body of Mewtwo. And then he was like, I'm going to go out and just blast everybody with a soul transfer, which I thought was super funny. I was like, man, Mewtwo just gets all sorts of abilities when they need it. So now Mewtwo has the ability to like transfer people's souls into Pokemon, and he's just going around, and I was like, okay, that doesn't make sense. Like he did it. Like I'm doing this for you guys, and I'm like, I don't want to be a Psyduck. Like who? Like that's not cool. Like I'm not. I don't want to effing be a Psyduck. It evolves into Golduck, which looks cooler. Like it is actually a cool looking Pokemon. But I'm like, that's nothing. Who wants to be like, what? Like oh man, transfer to a Diglett. I mean, you probably wouldn't because that's probably why there were no Diglets in the movie because they have to be in the ground. But I was just like, yeah, he was going around like, yeah, it worked for him, but like the police chief, he got transferred into like a 2-foot dog. That's not helping. That's not an enhancement on my life. I think I have a bit more control as a human than like a 2-foot dog or a tiny Psyduck who basically just has to stay calm or explode. So it was just like he just went full crazy villain mode where he was just like, you get transferred, your soul is moved, your soul's removed, and I was just like, this is insane. Like it made sense for himself. But then he's like, I'm doing this for everybody. And it's like, well, that just doesn't work. Not everybody's getting put into super badass Mewtwo bodies. Like, people are getting put into Psyduck and, stuff like that. Caterpie. Like, oh, I'm a Magikarp. Nice. So, it was just funny stuff like that. I was like, that's so crazy. Like, it just went full, classic crazy villain mode where it was like, it works for you. But then you just went out and just blasted people and, moved souls around. I was like, that just doesn't even make any sense. So, that was interesting. I like the twist. Him going full evil was just insane and weird because I was like, it doesn't make sense that he would do that for everybody because it just doesn't make any sense. But I enjoyed it. I thought it was cool. We do find out, and I knew it as soon as that happened when he changed like the first person soul into a Pokemon. I was like, oh, Pikachu is going to end up being Tim's dad. Like as soon as that happened, it was the same image where they show like the white thing where it looked like he was about to get abducted by aliens. I was like, oh, okay, it's going to be, Pikachu is actually Tim's dad. Makes perfect sense. And I thought that would be their explanation as to why they could talk, but technically it wasn't because I thought when Pikachu was going to be talking to the other Pokemon, they were going to have, because he goes to the Psyduck that, I want to say the woman's name is Lucy. I think that's the character's name, but I really can't remember. But he's talking to her and she just sounds like Psyduck again. And I was like, oh, I thought it was going to be her voice. And that really would have solidified it. It was like, oh, it's her voice in Psyduck. So of course, this is Ryan Reynolds' voice because it's going to be, Ryan Reynolds is the dad. And that wasn't the case. It was just Psyduck. And I was like, oh, that's not what I was expecting. And then, of course, at the end, when Ryan Reynolds becomes himself again after Mewtwo sets everything back, Pikachu just says, like, Pika Pika at the end. Like, so Tim can't hear Pikachu speaking anymore. And I was like, they just didn't put any explanation into that. Because I was like, it doesn't make sense. You can't just say, like, oh, it was his father, so they had a connection. Because otherwise they would have done it that way with Psyduckers. They could have done some little thing. I didn't expect an answer, but it was weird because I was like, I felt like they were literally like 0.2 steps away from having an answer as to why he could talk to the Pokemon. Because it was like, oh well, the connection with him and his dad, that kind of makes a little bit of sense. But then they did it where everyone was turned into Pokemon, but none of them, we didn't even hear them, speaking in a normal, or speaking in English. So I thought it was interesting. I was like, they were so close to having an answer that I didn't, I'd never expected them to give one, but they were like this close, and then they didn't, and I was like, now it's in my head, like, why was he able to talk to him? Because I was fine the whole way through, and then they just did some really specific stuff where I was like, man, they did so much explanation, I almost wish they just gave us an answer as to, why they were actually able to speak to each other. So it was just funny, like, at the end, I was like, they did so much work. And that's the only reason I even questioned it, because I was like, they're not going to answer that. I thought that at the very beginning of the movie, like, they won't even bother answering that. And they still didn't. And they did so much work. They, like, this close, and they still didn't answer it. And I was like, that's the only reason I question it now, because they did so much work and didn't answer it. But I thought that was interesting still, and I enjoyed the way it was all played out. But I am curious what they would do for a sequel, because with them doing that stuff at the end where it's like, Pikachu only says, like, Pika Pika, because Tim doesn't hear Pikachu's voice, they couldn't do Detective Pikachu 2. Like, if they kept it in the universe, it wouldn't be that. It would be like Pokemon something else. It would be like an anthology trilogy or anthology films, because it couldn't be Detective Pikachu, because they kind of established at the end that Tim can't hear, Pikachu anymore. So it would be interesting to see how they continue on with that, but I thought that was interesting. I wish they did a little bit more fighting, like one-on-one Pokemon fights, like actual Pokemon battles, because I thought that was a cool scene. They show a little bit with the Gengar and Blastoise. I wish Blastoise won, because Blastoise is actually my favorite. But they did a little bit with that, a little bit, of course, with Charizard versus Pikachu, and then the Magikarp becoming Gyarados, which was cool. And I was like, man, I would actually like to see them do legitimate Pokemon battles. I think that would actually be super cool. So I hope we get that. If they end up making a sequel, I think that would be cool to see more one-on-one action, because of course they have the crazy action set piece, which is mostly like the mountains are moving and stuff like that, and it's super insane. But I wish that they did do like some more one-on-one battles, because I think that was probably my favorite stuff as far as the action actually goes. Because even from what I do remember seeing during the big action set piece, like I said, they were getting chased down, which was cool, which was kind of similar to the first chase sequence actually with all the monkeys. But it was like the real big thing of that was like they're falling off of mountains, and the mountains are Pokemon and stuff. I assume that those the mountains moving were the Pokemon that were there. Like, oh, maybe the growth thing didn't work. I assume that that's what the mountains were. I didn't, falling asleep, I didn't exactly see 100% if they gave that exact answer, but I assume that's what was happening there. Nobody just blew up the whole mountain and it flipped over. Those were the giant Pokemon moving, I assume. I'll find out the next time I see the movie if that's what it was. But I do wish we got to see a little bit more of like the one-on-one action, because I think they did a good job with that, where it's like, oh, you get to see like the different moves that the Pokemon have. Gengar multiplying itself, shooting a shadow ball. Blastoise like going into its shell and spinning around and shooting, little stuff like that. I was like, oh, that's cool. They show off like legit techniques that the Pokemon have, and obviously we saw a bunch from Pikachu during the end fight, and I like that. I was like, I would love to see more of that. Whereas like specifically this Pokemon, we get to see like 5 of its moves and see it do like cool techniques. I think that would be nice if they did that for a sequel. But all in all, good movie. I like the action. I like the comedy. The drama was decent. They had like the little moment where Tim was like, I really should have taken that train. And then he realizes like, I haven't really been nice to you. And Peach was like, no, not really, you haven't. So this is a good little moment there. So they have their, small emotional beats. I like the reporter. I thought she was really funny when she first showed up. And she's like, I walk the walk and I talk the talk and all this stuff. And I was like, what in the world is this woman saying? Like, she was just a real fast talker who was trying to, get higher in the ranks. And she does by the end. But I liked her character. I thought she was funny. Also, love the fact that they completely dressed her up like a character from one of the games, because when they go to actually get like the mystery element of the movie and they actually go to the facility, when she drops down and she's in all red and she has like the little sash backpack and like the black hat on, I was like, they did that 100% on purpose to make her look exactly like one of the video game characters. And when they do the ending sequence, where all the characters like drawn like characters from either the anime or the games, I was like, yeah, she looks exactly like one of the characters from the most recent games. Like the hat, the jacket, like it's all red except it's got the one stripe straight down the middle. Like that was an outfit from the games, and I was like, that was perfect. I like that little reference. I do believe that they made a reference to the character Red, who was like the original character from the original games as well as the manga. So I thought that was cool, and of course that was like a random person like throwing a Pokeball, but he was literally dressed in all red. I'm like, that has to be Red. So I like that reference too. But all in all, fun movie. Really enjoyed it. Wouldn't hate seeing it again. I'm gonna see it again, like I mentioned. I gotta go see it with my friend, but I'm gonna go see it again. Even if I hadn't missed the whole action sequence, I'd still enjoy it. I'd still be totally fine seeing that whole movie. So I think it was a good movie. I think it was good. Not great or anything, but it was like, yeah, that was fun. That was a fun movie. Like I said, with it being so short, it feels like it's super quick compared to every Marvel movie ever, which all of those feel like 2.5-hour movies. So it's like, sure, hour 45 minutes. That feels like it's nothing just saying it. So I recommend it. I thought it was a fun movie. I had a good time. Of course, we'd love to know what you guys thought about it, so please put your comments down in the comment section below. Let me know your favorite parts about it, your least favorite parts about it. And I would love to know if you guys even care enough for them to make a sequel. Would you want to see one? What would you want in it? What would you not want in it that you got from this film? Characters or actions or anything like that. So definitely put your comments and your thoughts on this movie and what they could do with the sequel down in the comment section below. And of course, thanks for watching.